I'm kicking things off today with the brows. I'm beginning with the Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Kit in the shade Ash Brown, and I'm starting out by taking the lighter of the two browns and I'm just feathering the product through the brows. I use this kit in my brow routine video that I uploaded 2 years ago, in the updated one that I uploaded last year, and I'm still using it. I just can't fault it. It's absolutely fantastic. Once I've coated my brow hairs in product, that's all I do. I just fill in what's there. But when I'm happy with the shape and the colour, then I like to take a little foundation or concealer. Today I'm using the Photofocus foundation, and I'm just using a small amount of this on a tiny brush, and I'm tidying up the under portion of the brow. I kind of just want that area to be nice and sharp and defined. So lately I've been wearing my brows that bit lighter, and I don't mind if they're lighter than my hair, I just like the effect. But I like going in with the darker brown in the kit, and I feather this randomly throughout the brows, and it just, I find, makes them look a little bit more natural, or as natural as defined brows can be. Next I'm going to work on my base, so I'm taking some of the Coverall primer and I'm using the Wet n Wild foundation brush to apply that. This primer is quite creamy, it looks and feels kind of like a moisturiser, it's just really nice. Less is more with it though, you only need a small amount of product because it spreads out quite easily across the skin. You could use your hands, I'm just using a brush because there'll still be a little leftover product on the brush when I'm applying my foundation, and it just helps it to go on more smoothly. So for the foundation, I'm going back in with the Photofocus foundation. I adore it. I spoke about it recently in my top 5 drugstore foundations video. I use the paddle to just apply some of the product onto my face, and then I work on blending it into the skin. When I'm using a painter style foundation brush, I use downward motions first, and then I sweep my brush horizontally across the face to eliminate the chance of there being any brush strokes on my face. Naturally, I want everything to be nice and even. As you know, I really like to take my time when applying and blending my foundation into the skin. I just like to work in small sections. This foundation, coverage wise, is a medium coverage and it isn't buildable. I'd say if you wanted a full coverage look to the skin, just go in and build up the coverage in the areas that you want with concealer. And if you want a light coverage, the foundation can definitely be sheared out. Now I'm taking the Megaglo Stick Concealer, and rather than applying it directly from the tube, I'm using my finger because I don't want bacteria buildup on the product itself, and I'm just tapping this on top of my blemishes. Naturally, it's not going to cover up texture, but it does a great job at taking over from the foundation and concealing any little bit of redness that may be peeking through. To set those products in place to ensure they don't smudge or crease throughout the day, I'm using the Photofocus pressed powder to do that, and I'm pressing the product into the skin using the Wet n Wild powder brush. What I love about this pressed powder is that it sets the products in place for the day, but it has a tint to it and it gives a light to medium coverage depending on how you apply it, and for me, I'm all about that extra coverage. I take it down the neck too to set the foundation there because I don't want that wearing off throughout the day especially. Next, I'm going to warm up the skin because it's looking very matte and flat at the moment. I'm using the deep shade in the Megaglo contouring palette, and I know it looks very dark in comparison to my skin, but I use a very light hand when applying it, and I just blend like my life depends on it, and that just ensures that I don't go overboard. I use a small brush for my cheeks and then a large angled brush for sweeping the product around my hairline and down underneath my jawline. Then I'm going back in with a very light dusting of that face powder and I'm sweeping it around the contour just to make sure that it blends nicely into the skin. On to my favourite part now, the highlighter. The Megaglo highlighters are one of my favourite products from the Wet n Wild range. They rival some of my high-end highlighters, just the sheen they give is something else. This one is called Precious Petals and I just like to pop that along the top of my cheeks. Once I'm happy with the glow there, then I just go along either side of my nose and then I apply the product to my cupid's bow. You can just add this anywhere where you want to enhance. When the light hits it, it's really something else. Moving on to the eyes, I'm prepping the eyes in the same way that I prep the face. So I'm applying a small amount of Photofocus primer to the eye area just to prevent the shadows from fading or creasing throughout the day. And then I'm setting that base in place with some of the face powder just to make sure that it doesn't budge. For the eyes, I'm using the Au Naturel eyeshadow palette today. This one is called Nude Awakening. And I'm beginning with the lightest shade in the palette, and I'm pressing this underneath the brow to add a very subtle highlight to that area. Now I'm going in with the shade right next to that, and I'm applying this on the inner half of my eyelid with the use of a pencil brush. So I applied this eyeshadow dry, but you can also use the shimmers wet to pack more of a punch, and that's what I'm doing now, and it really makes such a difference. So if you want a more subtle sheen, go with a dry application, and a wet if you want that shimmer to shine. For the transition colour today, I'm taking this matte dusty mauve shade, and I'm beginning by laying down the colour on the outer third of the eye, and as usual I'm gradually fading that colour across the crease. So I'm just adding a couple of layers of this shadow to build up the intensity, and once I'm happy with how that looks, then I'm blending some of that same shade down along the lower lash line, and then finally I'm going back in with my fluffy blending brush, blending around the edges just to make sure that I've got no harsh lines. Making my way from light to dark now, I'm taking one of the darker shades and I'm using a small brush because I don't want to over apply this shadow. I'm patting it down on the outer third of the eye and slightly up into the crease to add a little bit of depth. Then what I do to the top, I'm going to do to the bottom as well, so I'm sweeping this shade down along the lower lash line. Next then, I'm going in with the black to add some further depth and definition to the eye, and again I'm using a small brush because I don't want to over apply this shade. I'm patting it down on the outer corner of the eye in a C shape, and then I'm softly feathering out the edges. I generally like to use a small brush for the blending process as well because I can be a bit more precise, but if you find it easier you can soften the black with a fluffy blending brush like I'm doing now. Next, I'm taking a small bit more of that black, this time on an angled brush, and I'm lining the outer third of the eye only, and this just gives the eyes a bit of a lift. Once I'm happy with how that looks, then I'm applying the black along the bottom lashes, and now I'm softening around the edges of the look again with my fluffy blending brush. To line my waterline, I'm taking a brown pencil liner from Wet n Wild, and I'm just using this one because I think the brown is a little bit softer than black. And I swear, if you buy one of these pencils, you'll never need to buy another. They're absolutely massive. You'll never run out. I wanted to add a little pop around the tear duct too, so I'm reapplying that shimmery lid shade, and then I'm adding some lashes. But because I didn't add a liner or take that black eyeshadow across the upper lash line, sometimes you can see gaps between the lashes, so I'm just filling those in with a liquid liner. Then to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, I'm using the Wet n Wild XXL mascara, and I'm just coating the top and bottom lashes, and then that's it for the eyes. So finally for the lips, I'm beginning by applying this Nude liquid lipstick. These are fantastic, they're really long lasting, very comfortable to wear, and they're only about a fiver. So I'm adding this nude shade first, and then I'm adding a small amount of coral on top, and I'm keeping this to the centre of the lips just to add a little more dimension. And I know it's a really strange colour combination, but it works. And then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and found it helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.